Tattoos have long been a point of contention in Christian discussions, raising questions about their acceptability and what they symbolize in relation to our faith. As society continues to evolve, tattoos have become more common, appearing on people from all walks of life, including pastors, worship leaders, and devout Christians. But with this cultural shift comes the need to carefully examine the deeper implications of tattoos. Are they a form of self-expression that glorifies God, or do they cross a boundary set by biblical teachings? To answer these questions, we must delve into the historical, cultural, and theological contexts of tattoos and discover what the Bible truly says about them. The journey begins with an understanding of the historical roots of tattoos. Long before tattoos became mainstream, they were a form of artistic expression in ancient civilizations. Egyptians, Mesopotamians, and Canaanites used tattoos to signify religious devotion, mark rites of passage, and symbolize their allegiance to various deities. In these ancient cultures, tattooing often had a sacred or mystical significance, connecting the bearer to the divine or marking them as part of a particular social or religious group. However, for the Israelites, God issued a clear directive to separate themselves from the practices of the surrounding pagan nations, and tattooing was one of those practices. In Leviticus 19:28, the Bible issues a specific prohibition: "Do not cut your bodies for the dead, or put tattoo marks on yourselves. I am the Lord." This passage has often been at the center of the debate surrounding tattoos, with many Christians using it as evidence that tattoos are sinful. But to fully understand the weight of this command, we must look at it in the context of the broader Levitical law. The laws given to the Israelites were meant to set them apart from the nations that worshipped idols and engaged in practices that dishonored God. Tattooing in this context was associated with pagan rituals and idolatry, practices that directly opposed the worship of the one true God. However, interpreting ancient laws and applying them to modern life requires discernment. The Old Testament contains various types of laws, including ceremonial, moral, and civil laws, each serving different purposes. While some laws, like the prohibition against eating pork or wearing mixed fabrics, were ceremonial and specific to the cultural context of the time, others, like the Ten Commandments, carry moral weight that transcends cultural boundaries. Therefore, the question becomes, is the prohibition against tattoos in Leviticus a ceremonial law tied to ancient pagan practices, or does it carry moral weight that applies to Christians today? To answer this, we turn to the New Testament, where the concept of Christian freedom is introduced. In books like Galatians and Romans, the Apostle Paul emphasizes that believers are no longer bound by the Old Testament law because Christ has fulfilled it. It is for freedom that Christ has set us free. Galatians 5:1. But this freedom does not mean we are free to do whatever we please. Rather, it comes with responsibility. Paul reminds us in 1 Corinthians 10:23 that while everything is permissible, not everything is beneficial. This means that even though Christians may be free from the Old Testament law, they must still carefully consider the impact of their actions on their faith and the faith of others. This brings us to the modern context of tattoos. Tattoos have undergone a significant transformation in recent decades, moving from a symbol of rebellion or marginalization to a widely accepted form of personal expression. In some Christian circles, tattoos have even become a way of bearing witness to one's faith. Biblical verses, crosses, and other Christian symbols are now commonly tattooed on the bodies of believers as a permanent reminder of their relationship with God. For many, these tattoos serve as a testament to their spiritual journey and as a conversation starter for sharing the gospel with others. But despite this shift, the debate over whether tattoos are sinful persists. The heart of the matter is not simply whether tattoos are allowed, but why someone would choose to get one. The Bible teaches that our bodies are temples of the Holy Spirit, and as such, we are called to honor God with our bodies. 1 Corinthians 6:19-20. For some, this means abstaining from tattoos altogether, seeing them as defacing the body God has given them. For others, tattoos can be a way of glorifying God through art and personal testimony. The key is in the motive behind the tattoo. Is it done in a spirit of reverence and dedication to God? Or is it done for vanity, rebellion, or to follow worldly trends? It is also important to consider the cultural context in which tattoos are viewed. In some parts of the world, tattoos are still associated with paganism, witchcraft, or rebellion. In Tanzania, for example, missionaries have encountered resistance to tattoos because they are linked to ancient tribal rituals and witchcraft. For Christians living in such cultures, getting a tattoo might send the wrong message, even if the individual's intent is innocent. Therefore, Christians must be mindful of how their tattoos might be perceived by others and whether they could hinder their witness for Christ. The issue of tattoos also touches on deeper theological discussions about Christian freedom and personal conviction. As Christians, we are free from the Old Testament law, but that freedom should not be a license for self-indulgence or recklessness. Instead, our actions should be guided by love for God and for others. Before getting a tattoo, Christians should ask themselves a series of important questions. Why do I want this tattoo? Will it glorify God? How will it affect my testimony to others? Have I prayed and sought counsel from trusted spiritual mentors? Additionally, some Christians have raised concerns about the symbolism of tattoos and their connection to the mark of the beast mentioned in the book of Revelation. While this idea has gained some traction in certain circles, it is important to interpret the symbolism in Revelation carefully. The mark of the beast is often misunderstood, and there is no biblical evidence to suggest that modern tattoos are connected to this prophecy. Instead, the mark of the beast symbolizes allegiance to the forces of evil, whereas tattoos in today's context often serve a completely different purpose. At the core of the tattoo debate is the question of what it means to honor God with our bodies. This is a deeply personal and spiritual decision that each believer must make for themselves. While the Bible does not provide a clear, overarching command for or against tattoos in the New Testament, it does provide principles that can guide us. Motive matters. Our actions should always be driven by a desire to glorify God and to be a light to those around us. Tattoos, like many other modern issues, present an opportunity for Christians to engage with culture in a thoughtful, biblical way. Rather than making blanket judgments, we should approach the issue with grace, understanding, and discernment. Some Christians may choose to abstain from tattoos as an act of devotion, while others may embrace them as a form of personal testimony. Both positions can be valid if they are pursued with the right heart and motives. So, the question of whether Christians should get tattoos cannot be answered with a simple yes or no. It requires careful consideration of the Bible's teachings, cultural context, personal motives, and how our choices reflect our faith. Ultimately, the decision should be made in prayerful submission to God, seeking His will above all else. As Christians, we are called to live out our faith in every area of our lives, including the decisions we make about our bodies. Whether or not we choose to get a tattoo, the most important thing is that our lives reflect the love, grace, and truth of Christ in all we do. Thank you for taking the time to explore this important topic with us. We hope this discussion has given you valuable insights and helped you reflect on how your faith influences your decisions. If you found this content helpful, please consider supporting our channel by liking this video, subscribing, and sharing it with others who might benefit from it. Your support helps us continue creating thoughtful, faith-based content. God bless you, and we look forward to seeing you in our next video.